How to attract and maintain the man of your dreams. Now, when I say maintain, I don't mean that you have to maintain your man like you're like their slave or no. I mean like maintain, like keep a healthy, functional, loving relationship with the man that you love. How do we do that? How do we first attract that person? See, the first thing is you have to know what you want. You have to know your ideal person, especially if you're single right now. You got to have that picture. You got to put in your order to God to be like, look, this is what I'm looking for. Because without a target, you're not going to hit it. So, in order to attract the man of your dreams, you have to know what you want and why you want it. Not just saying like, oh, I want a man that, is good looking, is making good money, who is a good person, who has, no drug issues, no drinking issues, who has a good relationship with their mom, who's going to treat me like a queen and who is healthy, who is like, who has no ex, who has no, like, we have all these requirements, but I also want you to think of like, okay, well, if I want all these things, which is not wrong, what are you doing to be able to attract that? What do you have to offer? Instead of just having this whole list of, this ideal man, your perfect man, which again, it's good to have that kind of vision, that kind of dream, but you have to know like, okay, what am I doing? Where am I putting myself? What kind of places am I putting myself in? Am I going to find that kind of person in those areas? What kind of woman does that man want? So that way I can have those type of attributes, those type of habits, those type of qualities, because a lot of times we can have a big list of our ideal person, but we're not looking at, what we have to offer, what we bring to the table, what we bring to that relationship. And again, so this is something that I want you to begin to think about when you want to attract and keep a healthy relationship, that man of your dreams. So the first thing is to know that what do you want and why do you want it? So when it comes to attracting the right person, you have to have that clear target, because without a target, you're not going to hit it. So do this exercise right here, okay? If you can just get a piece of paper and write down, draw 4 columns. And the first column is going to say must have. The second column is going to say preferably have. The third one's going to say preferably does not have. And the last column is going to say must not have. 4 different columns. This is an exercise to get clear on what is it that I'm looking for in my ideal relationship, in my ideal man. What is it that I want? What is it that I don't want? What do I prefer? What do I prefer that they have and don't have? These are all different things and questions you need to ask yourself and to write them down to get clear. So that way you're not falling for just emotional ties, getting into relationships just because they feel good at the time, and then somebody gets hurt, or you spend that time together and then you break up because you're like, this is not working, and you're just wasting time, wasting energy, really making yourself vulnerable or them to be hurt. So it's really good to get clear on what you want, so that way your yes to this ideal man, this ideal relationship, is an automatic no to anything else that doesn't match. Because emotions, they bring us in, right? And especially like if you have a man that starts telling you nice things, treating you a certain way at first, feels good. And even though you see those red flags, you turn a blind eye to it, like, oh, it's okay, I'll fix them. Or it's just because they don't love me enough right now. And once they get to know me, they're going to love me and want to change everything for me, with a little hair flick too. No, I don't want you to put yourself into those situations and think that you're going to change this man, or this is a man that he's going to be a project of yours that you're going to form and mold into the perfect man. That's not the way to start the relationship. So I want you to get into, okay, what is it that I want? What am I looking for? So that way, when other people that come, doesn't mean you can't be friends, doesn't mean you can't communicate, but you already know that this person does not fit your ideal man that you're looking to have a relationship with. So do this exercise, and I'm telling you, it'll prevent you from heartache, prevent you from awkward situations, prevent you from getting hurt, prevent you from hurting somebody maybe. So these 4 columns right here, again, we got must have, preferably not have, and must not have. So in the must have, think of at least 5 to 10 things, the things that they must have. Maybe they must have a job. Maybe they must have, their own place. Maybe they must have, morals and values. Maybe they must have faith in God. Maybe they must have a priority when it comes to their health. But what are the things that they must have? Maybe they must have a beard. Maybe they must have, hair. Maybe they must not have hair. I don't know what your taste or your style is, but you need to be clear for yourself. So what is the must-haves? 5 to 10 different things. Then the next column is preferably have. So these are not deal breakers. If they don't have these things, then it's okay. Maybe you prefer that they have, some kind of experience in, owning a business, because maybe you have a business and you want somebody who understands entrepreneurship, being a business owner. Maybe you prefer that, but if they don't, it's okay. Right. So there's a lot of things that, maybe you prefer that they wouldn't, that they do have. Maybe you prefer that they have their own home already. Maybe you prefer that they already have kids, but they're older. Maybe you prefer that they, have a job that they've been in for, over 10 years. It's not a deal breaker if they don't, but you prefer that they have it. So just start to think about, what are the things that you prefer? These are not must-haves. These are, you prefer that they do have, but again, if they don't, they are not deal breakers. Then we get to the next column here, where you prefer that they do not have. Maybe you prefer that they do not have, tattoos. Maybe you prefer that they do not have an ex-wife, or a baby's mama, right? Maybe it's not a deal breaker for you. Maybe it's not a deal breaker that they have kids. Maybe it's not a deal breaker that they have a baby's mama, but you prefer that they don't. So what are some things, 5 to 10, write them down, really think about this, because I'm telling you, this is going to get you a really clear target and show you like, okay, this is what I'm saying yes to, and everything else is an automatic no. What are the things that you prefer that they do not have? 5 to 10 things on the list. And then what are the things that you prefer that, they must not have? Now, this is a must. They must not have a felony. They must not have drug or alcohol addiction. They must not have, maybe they must not have kids. Maybe that's something for you. So again, there's no judgment as far as what you are looking to have, because this is your future. This is your ideal man. This is your ideal relationship. You want to attract that man for yourself, that attract the man of your dreams, and be able to maintain, to keep, to develop, to build a functional, loving relationship. And in order to do that, you have to, again, know what you want and why you want it. And this exercise will really give you clarity on that, because without that clarity, you can't fully commit to saying no to other things that are making you feel good, but there's red flags there, okay? So get clear, do this exercise, must not have, preferably not have, and must not have. So must have, must not have, preferably not have, okay? Now, when it comes to, okay, now I know what I want. I put in my order. I'm even writing the notes down and say, okay, God, this is what I'm looking for. Send them my way, because I'm not going to be like, oh, maybe this is the man. Maybe this is the man. And being needy and looking for somebody to fulfill me and complete me. No. This is what I'm looking for, but I'm complete in myself. And this is another thing that I want you to think about, like really being clear on who you are, apart from any person, apart from your job, if you have kids, apart from your kids, apart from any man, whether you're in a relationship now or not, you're looking for one, you need to have your own personal identity, your purpose, your acceptance, apart from anything else. So I want you to get clear on that. Who are you? Who are you not? So you need to get clear on these 3 things: your identity, your acceptance, and your purpose, apart from any man. So who are you? What is your strengths and your weaknesses? And this is another exercise to do, so that way you're clear on who you are apart from anybody else, the good and the bad. See, this is a part of being confident. This is a part of being humble, knowing who you are and knowing who you are not, knowing your strengths and your weakness and your beliefs and values. These are all things that you need to be clear about for yourself before you get into a relationship with somebody else. Because when you have two people coming from two different backgrounds, two different beliefs, two different values, two different goals coming together, at first it can be really amazing. But all of a sudden, those things that used to like attract you are like, ah, why are you like that? Because you're not clear on these things for yourself. So, what are your beliefs? Especially if you're single and you're not in a relationship yet, think about what do you believe and why, especially about some of the most important things like what do you believe about God? So you need to be clear about that in a relationship as well. Because otherwise, later on, a lot of these things like what do you believe about God? What do you believe about money? What do you believe about health? What do you believe about kids? What do you believe about, career, business? A lot of these things you need to be clear for yourself. So that way, when you get into a relationship, you can communicate these things on what's important to you. What do you believe and why? What are your values? So that way you can communicate and see, okay, where do we have agreements? Where do we have disagreements? Doesn't mean it's a deal breaker, but we need to talk about these things to see how we're going to deal with them in our relationship. For an example, what do you believe about God? How important is God to you on a scale of 1 to 10? What is God and what is God isn't? What is God and what God isn't? Being clear about things. Okay, how important is love? What is love to you? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it? What is love and what love isn't? What are your goals in the next, 1 to 3 years when it comes to God, when it comes to love, when it comes to your health? Like thinking about a lot of these really important areas of our lives and you being clear what you believe about them and why. How important are they to you? What does it look like in your life for the next, 1 to 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Being clear for yourself in some of those most important things is really important, especially if you can, before you get into a relationship. But even if you're in a relationship now, and maybe you've been in a relationship for many years, that's okay. You can start to get clarity on these things and start to have this kind of conversations, these meaningful conversations with your partner. But if you're looking to attract the man of your dreams and maintain them, this is how you start. You start with yourself. Really having that knowing, that clarity of who you are apart from anybody else. And to know who you are, you got to go through this type of exercise, this type of thinking where you're like, okay, what do I believe? What do I believe about these things and why? How do I see these things, being in my life for the next few years? Because if I'm gonna bring somebody else into my life, I want to find somebody who has a lot of agreements there, because two can't walk together unless there's agreement. And a lot of times, I'm sure you've seen it, maybe you've been through it, where you get into a relationship, it's all feelings, it feels good, but then all of a sudden you go through the years and you're like, what? You don't want to have kids? Or what? You don't believe in God? And now all of a sudden you've already had these emotional ties. Like, what? You don't really care that much about your health? What? You're going to be just lazy and not eating well? Like, all of a sudden you see these things that are not matching and not in agreement. But you've already created these emotional ties to the point where you're like, you already invested time, you already invested energy, you already invested love, to where you're like, oh, well, let's just kind of make this work then. And this is how a lot of people get into long relationships that are not healthy, or they end up breaking up and they're like, that was wasted time, right? Now, so it's really important for you to get clear on these things of, hey, what do you believe? Why do you believe them? How important are they to you? How do you see them, coming into your life in the next few years? And what do you value? What are your values? What are your morals? Being clear on these things. What are your goals? What are your dreams? So really sit down and be clear about these things, even like when it comes to your strengths and your weaknesses. Being brutally honest with yourself of like even writing a list. Okay, these are all my strengths, these are all my talents, my skills, my unique abilities, whether they're hard for me to do or not. These are the things I'm good at. These are the things are my weaknesses. These are the things I suck at. These are the things I'm insecure in. These are the things that that I deal with, my habits and my qualities that are not so positive or healthy. Like really getting clear on those things so that you know who you are, you know who you are not, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, because this allows you to fully accept yourself. So many people don't have acceptance for themselves. So that's why they're looking for other people to bring that acceptance for them, to make them whole and complete their other half. No, it's not about your other half. You need to be whole yourself before you even get into a relationship. And you have two wholes coming together and make a greater one. It's not a half and a half. Oh, my better half. No. You need to be whole by yourself. And in order to do that, you need to have your identity, right? That's knowing who you are, doing that exercise. And then once you know who you are, now you can fully accept who you are. Because you can't fully accept something you're not fully clear about, right? So if you're not fully clear about who you are, how can you fully accept yourself? This is going to make you vulnerable to go and try to get acceptance from other people. But you need to get it from yourself first. See, this makes you very powerful. This makes you very attractive. You know, when you're not needy, like, oh, I need you to do. No, you're your own person. You're a powerful person where, you know, you take responsibility for yourself. You have faith in yourself and your ability to figure things out. You know, you manage your own emotions. You make yourself happy because you're not looking for a partner to make you happy. Are you? Well, you shouldn't be. You should be having that in yourself. And whatever somebody else brings is extra to bring value into your life and you into theirs, not you trying to complete each other. So, knowing who you are, fully accepting who you are. This makes you very powerful because now you become unoffendable, unrejectable. Think about it. How can somebody reject you? How can somebody take away the acceptance that they never gave you, especially when you've given yourself full acceptance? I fully accept myself. So how can you take that away from me when I'm the one that gave it to me? See that? So it makes you very stable. And then also, how can you offend me when I know who I am, my strengths and my weaknesses? I know the good and the bad. So even if you try to expose me and point out my negative thing to get me on purpose to bother me, it's not going to bother me. It's not going to move me because you're like, Richard, you're just so stubborn and hard-headed. And because I already know my strengths and weaknesses and I fully accept those things, I'm not going to be like, oh, or no, you this, you that. I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to fight. I don't need to be hurt. I don't need to be offended. It's more like, Richard, you're so hard-headed and stubborn. Oh, yeah, I can be. Was I doing something right now? Because maybe I didn't realize. Maybe I said something because I know I can be that way. You're right. Do you have any tips for me? See, all of a sudden, even when they're trying to put you in a weak position, you're able to turn the tables around and still be in a powerful place because, yeah, you can be. And whether it's true or not that you are being that way right now, you don't need to be moved, offended, feel rejected because why? So when you know who you are, now you can fully accept who you are. Now you need the third thing of having some kind of purpose apart from anyone else, a purpose apart from your job, your career, a purpose apart from your kids, a purpose apart from this partner that you're looking for, right? So what is your purpose? What are you doing in life? What are you called to do? What satisfies you? What fulfills you? And a good way to find this out is that when you have things that you're passionate about, things that make you come alive, things that you lose track of time when you're doing it, you're like, man, time flies when you're having fun, right? So what are those things that you're very, very passionate about? Because when you can take those things and now purposely help other people doing those things on purpose, with purpose, when you start to consistently help people through the things that you're passionate about, you kind of start to walk into your purpose here. So these are three things that I want you to be clear as you are attracting the man of your dreams and you want to build something amazing with them. So you got to know who you are. You got to accept who you are. And you got to have a purpose. Okay, what am I going to do with who I am now? So get clear on those things. And this is where now you are positioning yourself to be a whole person, a powerful person, an attractive person, because this makes you very attractive when you're clear on all these things, right? And we're talking about how to attract the man of your dreams. So first it starts with you. It's not you looking outward to be like, oh, I'm needy. No. You being fully complete, being strong in your beliefs and values, knowing who you are not, knowing where you're going, like what you want to create in life, that's super attractive. And when you are clear with your must-haves, must-not-haves, preferably have, preferably not have, now all of a sudden you get very, very clear. You start to attract the man of your dreams. And when you see them, you will know them, right? So how do we, now that we attracted them, let's say you got all these things clear and you're like, okay, Richard, and but how do we maintain this? How do we keep building something so that way it stays healthy and functional, right? Because we don't want to get into a relationship and then boom, it becomes toxic and it's hard and it's frustrating and stressful. No, how do we create a strong foundation to keep building a healthy relationship? So I'm gonna tell you 7 different things of these are different areas to create connection in through conversation, through communication. Now, these are 7 areas where they're like bridges in our relationship that will strengthen it. See, the whole issue of all the different issues, the real problem of why people cheat, why couples are always fighting, why they're always defensive, why they're unstable, why they get angry, why they close up and run away. Why do all these things happen? They happen because of lack of connection. Disconnection is the root of all problems in relationships. So therefore, connection, communication is the thing that strengthens the relationship to make it better, to make it, healthier and more functional, enjoyable, pleasurable. So I'm gonna give you 7 different areas right now. These are like bridges. These are 7 dimensions. These are 7 ways, 7 areas to strengthen your relationship and maintain it. Okay, so there's spiritual, intellectual, emotional, physical, sexual, social, and financial. So a good way to remember is like, okay, starting from up here, like up in the heavens, right? Above everything. This is the spiritual. Then you move down, and this is your intellectual. And you move down to like your heart area. This is your emotional. Move down to your abs. Think of it like, and this is just a way to remember, okay? Think of it like your abs. This is being physical. You go down to your a little bit lower, then we got sexual. You go down a little bit lower, like where your legs are. Now, all of a sudden, picture yourself kind of being social together. Go a little bit lower where your feet are. Think of like buying new shoes. Financial. So it's spiritual, intellectual, emotional, physical, sexual, social, and financial. 7 different areas, 7 different bridges to create consistent communication in, to create consistent connection in, to build and maintain a healthy, functional relationship. Now, thinking about spiritual things. See, when you're building a relationship in spiritual things, again, you already know what you believe here because you did that exercise, right? And you already know what you're looking for here in a man because you did that exercise as well. So now when you start this conversation, you need to talk about it. Doesn't mean you need to agree on everything because we all come from different backgrounds, different beliefs, and that's okay. But you need to find what you do agree on so that you can build off of that. Right? So maybe one person is very spiritual, one is not. Okay, well, we need to come together and figure out what can we connect on, what can we communicate, what can we do together. Maybe it's not going to church, maybe it's praying together, maybe it's meditating together, maybe it's going for a walk in nature together in the forest, doing yoga, whatever that looks like. You need to figure that out together to create conversation, connection in that area, because this is one of the bridges to create a strong, functional, loving relationship. How about that's spiritual? How about intellectual? Intellectual is talking about thoughts, facts, and ideas. Sometimes it can be a little bit more superficial because when we start to get lower into the emotions, now we get into more passions and fears and dreams and frustrations. And, that's a deeper connection, which is also very important. But you need to start with, can you have superficial conversations at least? Can you talk about anything? Can you discuss how your day went? What did you do during your day? This is really important to create connection and a functional, loving relationship. So, talking about thoughts, facts, and ideas, and then moving to the emotional place where now you're getting into passions, fears, dreams, frustrations, things that you love, things that you don't love, right? And really getting vulnerable, getting intimate. Intimacy is like into me, you see. Intimacy, into me, you see. When I let you see into me, and then you let me see into you, we start to have deeper bonding, deeper connection, deeper harmony together because now we're able to open it up, be kind of vulnerable, right? And this is where love is born. When you can really be vulnerable, when you can be intimate, when I can put down my guards and you accept me, you put down your guards and be yourself and I accept you. This is where we create stronger, deeper, long-lasting relationships. Spiritual, intellectual, emotional, Physical. So when I talk about physical, there's three types of physicals: physical attraction, physical activities, physical touch. Physical attraction, taking care of yourself, you know, looking nice, smelling nice, taking care of your body, eating right, brushing your teeth, simple things to make yourself attractive, physically attractive for your partner on both sides. This is really important. Also, physical activities, doing things that are physical together. Go for a walk, go for a movie, go ride a bike, go swim, go on a hike. Do something physically together, create strong connection, which again builds a long lasting relationship, and also physical touch. Affection, holding hands, kissing, flirting. These are all different things that are really important when it comes to creating a healthy relationship. And then there's the sexual part, right? Now, I know in all these different areas, we have two different people coming from two different backgrounds. So one person might need it, want it, desire it more than others, right? Then that's okay. You need to talk about it though. Even when it comes to the sexual part, you can have one side, usually it's the man, but not always, that wants it, because one person can be like, well, sex once, twice a month would be great. And the other side of the partner is going to be like, once or twice a month. I'm talking about once or twice a day, So you have to talk about these things and see like, okay, what do you want? How do you want it? What do you like? What don't you like? What is your ideal, right? And how can we come together and compromise to make this happen? Because we know that it's important for our relationship. We know that these are needs and wants that need to be fulfilled. How about social? Again, you're going to have one person who is like, okay, how many times do you need to go out and do things with people? You're going to have one side of the relationship that's going to be like, once, twice a month would be great. And the other one's like, once or twice a month. I want like once or twice a week, like every weekend, like at least, or maybe one time during the week, because they thrive of being around people. They want to interact. They're those social butterflies, lovebirds, that they want to be with people, and it makes them come alive. But the other side of the relationship is like, people drain me. I need my space. And you're going to have this in relationships, which is, it's fine, it's normal, but you need to communicate about it. You need to figure this out to be like, okay, what is it that you need and what you want? This is what I need and what I want. Let's talk about how we're going to get both of our needs and wants met in this relationship. This is all about communication. How about financial? Same thing. Talking about, okay, what is going to be our financial situation? How much do we want to make? What do we want to save? What do we want to invest? What do we want to spend our money on? How much do we want to spend? What kind of house do we want to live in? If you want to have kids, what are we going to do there? Are they going to go to college? Like all these different things, like retirement plans. These are a part of things you need to have communication about. And actually, it's crazy because one of the things that creates most division and divorce is this topic of the financial thing, because it creates so much stress on that relationship, on the family, because of lack of finances or unstable finances, or where the money is being spent and there's not agreement there. It creates a lot of destruction in relationships. So be clear on what is it that you want in these areas, what you're expecting. And that's why we did those exercises. Now learn how to have communication with your partner to understand what their wants and needs are. So that way you can work together to love one another, because that's the point. It's having a loving, functional relationship. It's not just attracting the man of your dreams. It's about also maintaining, developing an amazing relationship that you can both enjoy for a long period of time. And the answer for all this, even with all the different connection, the 7 bridges to communicate, it's all about love. It's all about love. And love is like the greatest definition for me, because I've heard so many different definitions, and the 2 top ones for me is love is warmth, nourishment, and protection. It's kind of like it's having that consistent warmth, nourishment, where you're building and feeding each other. That protection, you're protecting each other in every way, protecting your relationship. But I've heard this one where it's when the greatest form of love is for a person to lay down their life for another. To where in that relationship, it's like, you know what? I'm going to die to self. It's not about me. It's not about what I want, how I want it. I'm going to make it all about you. And if the other side of the relationship does the same thing, and you're both fully focused on meeting each other's needs, man, that's going to be a good, amazing relationship, right? So how to attract and maintain the man of your dreams, how to attract and maintain the relationship that you've always wanted. Hope this helps you. Again, just kind of review. You got to know what you want and why you want it. I gave you that exercise of the must have, preferably not have, and the must not have. Do the exercise, do the work. Understand who you are with your identity, accept who you are, have a purpose. Do the exercises where you know your strengths, your weaknesses, what you believe about the most important things, right? And then start to understand that you need to create connection and communication in those 7 areas. There's the spiritual, the intellectual, emotional, physical, sexual, social, and financial. And always the answer to all these things is love. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm Richard Martinez. I wrote a book called The Art of Relationships. I have online courses that go through the book, audio courses that go through it that are very, very powerful, in depth, deeper than this here. This is like just scratching the surface, right? So if you want to know more, learn more, please click the links below. You can go to itsrichardmartinez.com where you can see a lot of my books there, my courses. And I've been doing this for over 20 years in over 25 nations, helping relationships all around the world. I mean, I'm talking about from some of the most poorest places, poorest, broken places in the world to multi-millionaire, billionaires relationships. So it works for everyone, no matter where you go. Richard Martinez, thank you guys. Make sure you like, comment, share. This give you value to you. Please comment, please share it with other people. Make sure you subscribe so you can check out my other videos as well. Bless you guys.